you're writing an email or any other kind of text that includes multiple paragraphs, your paragraphs will contain different main ideas, or at least different aspects of a larger idea. You should use transitions to link these together. These transitions can be especially useful for readers when they want to quickly skim the text. Think about your own experience. If you want to quickly skim a longer passage of text, you likely read the first sentence of each paragraph. These first or topic sentences usually contain some sort of transitional word or phrase, indicating the connection between the current paragraph and the previous one. Here's a quick example to show you what I mean. This is the first short paragraph of my text. I appreciate how the public transit in this city is always on time. That being said, the monthly transit pass is quite expensive. I'm now going to discuss a few ideas which I think could help reduce the cost of transit. Okay, now I want to begin a new paragraph and list my first idea. How can I use a transition to signal this shift? Well, I could simply say, first. First, the city could consider imposing a transit tax on all car drivers. This could help reduce the number of individual drivers and encourage carpooling. There are plenty of other transitions I could use here instead, like initially or to begin with. And, of course, if this paragraph begins with first, then my next paragraph might begin with second, and so on. Now, if someone were to quickly skim my writing, they'd likely be able to figure out the idea in each paragraph pretty quickly. Now let's look at some paragraph transitions in a couple sample responses. First, here's one from Task 1. Your local park is well used for picnics, parties, dog walking, and sport events. There are signs that tell people not to throw garbage on the ground, but people still do this. As a result, the park is full of garbage. Write an email to the city administration in about 150 to 200 words. Your email should do the following things: complain about the garbage, explain why a clean park is important, suggest what city officials should do to fix the problem. Now, here are the first two paragraphs from a response to this task. First, here's a version without a transition between the paragraphs. I am emailing you to complain about the garbage in my local park. This park is located downtown beside my apartment complex. It has the potential to be a wonderful facility for the community. It is spacious, has beautiful gardens to stroll in, and has some nice facilities and areas for relaxation. The garbage problem has far surpassed any benefit the park can offer. The once beautiful lawns are covered in cans and bottles. The garbage bins are few and overflowing, and the once tranquil pathways are strewn with litter. Okay, so the first paragraph is very positive, and it basically describes how wonderful this park is. The second paragraph, on the other hand, is much more negative. It discusses the garbage problem at the park. Without a transition between them, the second paragraph seems kind of abrupt. So what transition would you add to the beginning of the second paragraph? I'll give you a few seconds to think about it. So what did you come up with? How about however? Since however indicates a contrast in ideas, this could work well. However, the garbage problem has far surpassed any benefit the park can offer. You could use a number of other transitions here instead, such as unfortunately or in spite of this. Let's look at an example from Task 2 now. The city wants to lower monthly bus passes from $80 to $50 for adults. The city will make extra money for transit services by charging more for parking rates downtown. The city is asking your opinion of the change. Choose the option that you prefer. Explain the reasons for your choice. Why do you prefer your choice? Write about 150 to 200 words. Option A. I agree that the adult monthly bus pass should change to $50. Parking rates should increase. Option B. I prefer the bus pass to stay at $80. parking rates should remain the same. Now here are 2 paragraphs from a response to this task. This writer supports option A. They want bus fares to go down. First, here's a version without a transition between the paragraphs. If the city wants to implement a plan that would discourage traffic and pollution in our community, then I wholeheartedly support this measure. And can you imagine our beautiful city without a 2-hour rush hour? Getting home to my wife and children more quickly due to less traffic congestion has been a fantasy of mine for years. Fewer cars being used in our city could possibly decrease motor vehicle accidents. With professional bus drivers compelled to follow safety rules in order to protect their jobs, and with fewer automobiles on our streets overall, Calgary is sure to become a lot safer. Okay, so the first paragraph talks about the benefits of less traffic if bus fares were decreased and public transit were encouraged. The second paragraph talks about another benefit to this situation: fewer car accidents. But they could still be linked more strongly. What kind of transition would you add at the start of the second paragraph? I'll give you a few seconds to think about it. What transition would you add? This time, the writer used practically a whole sentence to transition between the paragraphs. And they don't use any of the more common transition terms. But this still works fine, because the sentence, and particularly the phrase "another advantage," clearly indicates what this paragraph is going to discuss. There is another advantage if this situation were ever to be made a reality. In the last 2 videos, we've discussed how using transitions is an important method for clearly indicating connections between ideas in your writing. Remember that transitions can be used within a sentence, between sentences, or even between paragraphs. And depending on the context, there's often more than one right way to make connections. So just be sure to connect your ideas as clearly as possible.